What's up gamers, Lexu here. In this video, I'm going to be covering some crafting basics for Torchlight Infinite. I need to craft a second sacrificial dagger for my mana stacking Frostfire Gemma. If you want to make this character, make sure to check out my full build guide video on YouTube. This build can be played with a dagger and a shield, or you can dual wield daggers. I chose to use sacrificial daggers because it has some good caster mods available. So let's start by getting a good base item to start our crafting with. You want to go to the trade house here, and then go to the second icon for non-legendaries. And then from there we can go down to weapon and sacrificial blade. Here you can take a look at what all the different implicit values you can get on a blade are. I think for this build that I'm using, the best one for me would be this crit strike damage blade, the Wise Man Dagger. So we're going to search for that weapon. And then we're looking for an item level of 85 at least. You can see here that this one that costs 1 elementium is a level 85 dagger. It's important to use a level 85 weapon at least because then you get all the tier 1 mods available. If you go less than 85, then you won't get all the mods available. The highest mods won't show up when you're using the crafting. So I do recommend paying about 1 elementium for this. Sometimes you can find them for less. If I keep searching here, I can find maybe something a little cheaper. You want to start with a gray item here with 0 mods like this. This one is 10 flame sand, so this one's pretty cheap. And just make sure, once again, that it is level 85 at least. So we can buy this one and craft this one, use this as a crafting base. Claim our item right here. And then take this item to the arms dealer and craft it. So we're going to start with this base here. Now the first mod that we want to target should be something that is a little harder for us to get. For example, for my mana stacker here, I want 2 of these maximum mana rows. So that's 2 out of 3 possible outcomes here, which that one's a little easier to get. But we can look for a craft that is a little bit harder to get, like this int right here. I don't want the strength or dex rows, I just want the int on this. So this is a 1 out of 3 outcome. So this one's a little harder to get. So I'll target this one first. And the reason we target the harder ones to get first is because when it has less crafts, it's cheaper. So we can be a little more stingy. When it has 0 mods here, it's only going to take me 1 flame dust to craft. Whereas if it has more, it gets more expensive. If it has 1 mod on it already, the second mod takes 3 flame dust. And once it has more than 2, it's going to start to take flame sand. So let's go for this int here. Let's roll it here. Now, this is not the right mod. We do not want to accept this craft here if we don't get the right mod, because it will get more expensive and we'll have to try to replace it. So we want to keep the costs low. We're not going to confirm anything we don't want. Now, keep an eye on how many embers you have here. I only have 11 embers for this one, so I got to be a little careful here. And there we have a tier 2 int here. This is very good. Depending on how much currency you have, you can be a little more strict on the first mods if you have a lot more currency. If I had a lot of currency, I could just go for a tier 1, but tier 2 for this item is going to be well worth it. I'm crafting a budget item here. This is supposed to be like one of the first items that you craft for your character here. So I'm going to take this tier 2 int. And then we're going to go for a second mod. So let's check what we want for prefixes here. I needed 2 out of the 3 rows here for the maximum mana. And then I'll need to get either the spell damage or elemental damage here. And this is 2 rows out of 4, so this one's a little harder to get. So let's aim for this one next. Let's try to get one of these 2 here. That's a tier 9. I'm going to be a little more strict here and try to get something a little better. Here's a tier 3 elemental damage. So I'm going to take this one here. This is pretty decent. And then I'm going to try to get the 2 mana rows here. So now that we have 2 mods already on the item, it's going to cost us 1 flame sand per row here. So it's getting a little more expensive, but it's still not bad. Here's a tier 3 mana row that is more than adequate for me. I'm going to take that. And then we're going to go for the last mana. This is a tier 6. We're not going to take that. We're not confirming the lesser tier mana here because we don't want it to get more expensive. Also be aware here that sometimes when you get what you want here, for example, this is the tier 3 maximum mana row that I want, but it is replacing this tier 3 elemental damage. So I don't want to take this one. I don't want to replace this. I'm going to keep the elemental damage and keep rolling here for the maximum mana row without replacing anything. That's only a tier 8. That's only a tier 6. I think I'm going for tier 3 or above. Maybe tier 4 or above here. Here's a tier 2, but it is replacing this mana row here. Now, this is a higher tier here, and I could just try to get this one back again. So I'm going to take the tier 2 row here because it's higher. And then try to get the static maximum mana row again. Hopefully I have enough mats here. Here we go. Tier 3, max mana. It's not replacing anything. Double check to make sure it's not replacing anything. You don't want to ruin this. So I can take this mana. Once we have 4 affixes, we can check out some of these purple crafts here actually. You should probably check these before you start crafting so you know whether or not you need to save a prefix or a postfix. I already checked and made sure that I didn't need any of these prefixes here. For this one though, this one does have some good stuff on it. The cast speed per int, the spell critical strike damage, those are both really good for me. So I'm going to try to get one of these 2 postfixes out of the 7 total on this list. You can also choose to start using some fossils down here, but I would recommend that you save these until you start to craft some more top tier items. So for now I'm not going to use them. Let's just try to roll and try to get one of these 2 here. It is costing 6 flame sand per roll now, so it is getting quite a bit more expensive. So I'm going to try to take whatever's good. For example, this one is pretty good. 1% cast speed per 50 int. I think I'm going to go for at least 2% though, cast speed per 50 int. So I'm going to skip that one. This one again, tier 3, tier 3, tier 2, 1% cast speed per 32 int. Can I re-roll this to be higher? Tier 2, oh, this one is replacing my tier 3 mana roll, which I could just go back and try to get. So I think I'm going to take this tier 2 roll right here. Actually, if we go back and check the enchants, I think we can enchant the mana pretty easily here. So taking a look over here at our dagger, you can see here that I can do mana enchant right here. So let's go and craft something else instead, because enchanting mana is pretty easy. So I can actually try to go for the spell crit strike damage here instead. Cast speed, tier 2 cast speed is also pretty good, but it is replacing this tier 3 elemental damage here, and I think I'd rather still have crit damage for my build. Now a tier 1 cast speed is kind of hard to pass up, but I have a feeling it's going to be hard to get this one back, so I'm not going to take the tier 1 cast speed. And there it is, tier 1 spell crit strike damage. It is taking out this tier 3 elemental damage, but I think this is too good to pass up here, and we can just go back and try to get the elemental damage. So let's go ahead and replace the elemental damage with this crit strike damage. And then go back and try to get either the max mana or the spell and elemental damage. This is going to be a 1 out of 3 chance to get the max mana roll that I want. And this will be a 2 out of 4 chance to get what I want, either spell damage or elemental damage. Actually, I think I want elemental damage. I actually want the elemental damage over the spell damage for Gemma, because I think that the elemental damage actually double dips. Both the fire and cold damage gets added to my total damage. So I actually do want to go for elemental damage here. There's a tier 3, but it's taking off this tier 2. I need more flame sand, so let me go buy some more from the market here. And try to get a good deal on this. 3 for 99 is a really good deal on right now for flame sand, so I'll do that. Here's a tier 2 elemental damage, replacing the tier 2 max mana. Might be easier to go back and try to get mana. The mana rolls are 2 out of 4. Also, I have more of these embers for the mana. I have like 500 of these embers, so I can easily spam this one a little more. So I'm gonna go ahead and accept the elemental damage and go back to trying to get one last mana craft on here. A tier 4 max mana right here. Oh, it's replacing a tier 2. Always double check because it's easy to make this mistake. If I didn't check and I accepted this one, I would be in much worse shape than I actually am. So don't accept that one. Again, replacing the int. This is a tier 3 max mana. It's not replacing anything. So this is the final craft that we need. We can confirm this one. So we're 5 out of 6 now. So in order to finish this craft, we can just throw on the last enchant as the 6th mod slot. So we go to the enchant list here. And I think I might have made a mistake here because there's no percentage mana craft. There's only static mana crafts here. So now we have to do maybe something else. I could do elemental piercing instead here actually. That's still very good. Okay, so let's go for the elemental piercing here. I'm going to be a little bit cheap on this one. This is a budget item, so when you're crafting your first dagger here, you're definitely not going to go for these flame elementium crafts here. We're just going to go for the flame sand, the first option here. 2% elemental penetration here. So this will finish off our dagger. We now have 6 mods on there. And then the last thing you do, don't forget to do the gear empowerment. And make sure that it has a high enough energy value. This one's pretty good already at 52. I'm actually fine with that. Sometimes you buy these daggers and they're much less, but just make sure that you try to get the max energy you can. A good amount of energy to go for so you can activate your skill slots. And that's really it right there. You can see I can actually dual wield with this dagger. It's better than my first dagger I crafted actually. So if I wanted to, I could just put this dagger here and then use the shield if I still wanted the survivability, or I can just dual wield daggers. The shield here is actually still giving me more damage because of this 2% spell crit strike rating for every 46 max mana value here. But I think if I craft another dagger similar to this one, then I could go ahead and dual wield and drop this shield. This shield is a good starter item because you can buy it from the market for only 1 flame elementium. But I think once you get some crafting currency, you'll want to make 2 good daggers similar to the one that we just crafted. And that's it for the video, guys. Again, if you're looking for build guides, make sure you go to my YouTube and check out the builds, including the one I'm working on right here with the Frostfire mana stacking gemma. It's an ice caster, so check it out. I also have a lethal flash Carino shotgun build. If you're looking for a projectile style build, check that one out. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see more Torchlight Infinite content. Thanks for watching. Peace out and happy slaying.